Hello, and welcome to this short demonstration of Sage Intacct. My name is Jamie, and I'm a cloud accountancy specialist here at ION. I'll be taking you through some of the features that you can expect to see within a Sage Intacct environment. Due to its customization options and its level of adaptability, Sage Intacct is suitable for almost any small to medium-sized company that requires a cloud-based finance system. The software itself is able to accelerate growth through powerful analytics and embed efficiency into your everyday processes. So to begin with, everything in the Intacct platform is run through cloud technology. This software was effectively born in the cloud, so it wasn't created and then integrated with cloud technology afterwards. Now, in terms of what this means, firstly, it provides the user with the ability to access their system from anywhere through the internet. Anytime that you want to access the system, you can do so simply by logging in through a browser. There's no need for downloading software, so it should come as no surprise to you that there is no need for users to update the system. Instead, the system is updated by the system operators. There are quarterly updates that are implemented with no downtime for the users, so you don't have to worry about any unwanted interruptions regarding your access to the system. Due to Sage being at the forefront of modern accounting technology, there's a consistent and constant stream of new and innovative features being added to the system, many of which were specifically requested by its users through the Sage Intacct community. When it comes to running the finances of multiple companies through a single system, Sage Intacct provides the ideal environment in which to do so due to Intacct's multi-entity friendly design. A user can seamlessly navigate between multiple companies, eliminating the need to log in and out of different accounts. At the top of the screen here, you can see what's known as the entity picker. You can see that we are currently at the top level. If we click into here, you can see that we can easily slide into all of our different companies. The top level that we're currently at is effectively the umbrella under which all of your individual companies reside. You can choose to make changes here that will have an impact across all of your companies, or we can slide into a company so that we can then make specific changes to that entity. Okay, so the first feature that I want to discuss is a dashboard. So to access this, we'll go back to the top level. We'll then go into the application picker, into dashboards, and then we can click on Home Dashboard. So it's important to remember that there is no limit to the number of dashboards that you can create, and you can also select which users have access to specific dashboards. As you can see here, there are all sorts of visual indicators that provide you with an overview of key financials. In terms of the methods of displaying data, you can have key figures, graphs, charts, and reports. On the left here, you can see what's called as a smart link. This is incredibly easy to configure and generates a live feed from any chosen website. So in this case, we're looking at the page of our own ION website, which is specifically dedicated to the Sage Intacct system. In the top right here, we've got what are known as performance cards, and these are based on key general ledger accounts and are currently set to be compared to the previous month's figures. Further down, we can see that we've got a balance sheet detail report and a 12-month profit and loss history. In terms of which reports can be added to the dashboard, we can use any of the out-of-the-box financial reports that come pre-configured with the system, or essentially any report or chart that we have custom built. One of the features that I really like about Intacct is that quite often we'll find reports have hyperlinks built in. So for example, in this balance sheet here, we can see that we can click into the accounts receivable account group. This then provides us with a pop-out window so that we can analyze the data in a bit more detail. We can then click on the actual figure, and this will then break out into a new screen that will show us how that figure is initially generated on a transactional level. And we can even go one step further, so that if we want to see specific transactions, we can click into the debit column figure here, and now we can see the actual journal entry all the way down to the line detail. You can of course also add a general record list. For example, you can see here that we've got a list of all outstanding AP purchase invoices, and we've also got a working assignment list. So here we can see the different assignments and their level of progress. As for actually constructing the layout of the dashboard, it really is as simple as dragging and dropping the different items. So we can rearrange this with great ease. So when you consider that each user can have their own personalized dashboards, the combination of usability with the level of customization available means that dashboards alone can provide an efficient solution to an array of different processes. You can also define specific user groups. So if you want a group of certain staff members to have access to certain dashboards, you can do this and ensure that they only have access to the data that is meant for them. Now, let's look at some of the day-to-day functionality of Intacct. To do this, we're going to slide into our United Kingdom entity. And then what I want to do is go into purchasing, and we're going to start off with a purchase requisition. And the purpose of this is to progress through a standard purchasing workflow so that you can see the ease of which you can create these different transactions. So what you may have noticed is when I clicked into the application picker, we have an array of different transaction definitions. That is because these have all been custom built, and it means that you can go ahead and create your own specifically designed purchasing workflows that enable you to get exactly what you want out of the system. So we'll go ahead and we'll start off this purchasing workflow with a purchase requisition. So what you can see here is quite a standard Intacct transaction screen. And what's quite useful is the fact that a lot of the screens for different transactions will all look relatively similar. Of course, there will be their own different tweaks. However, this means that it can enable the user to get used to processing different transactions in a much more time efficient manner. So we'll go ahead and we'll select a supplier. And you can see there that it's brought through some of the key supplier information automatically. We'll then go ahead and we'll select a payment term, and that will be used to then automatically create the expiration date. Then we'll go ahead and we'll select an item. And you may notice that the location has been automatically populated once we've started entering data, and that is simply because of the fact that we are within the United Kingdom entity. You can also see that we've got an array of different data entry points here. One of the interesting ones is the fact that you can have an attachment, so you can effectively supply any sort of supporting document. This can be really useful in the event that you decide to use purchasing workflows. If you are someone who needs to put in a purchase requisition for approval, you can then add in a supporting document here so that then the approver can get all of the information they need. So down here, what we can actually see is our first look at some of the dimensions available in Intacct as standard. So here we've got item, location, department, employee, and class. Now, effectively, dimensions are used to identify trends and spot issues and to provide a general insight into your business. Departments, for example, are very commonly used as by tagging transactions with a department, you're able to then break down spending or earnings via a department with incredible ease. You can also create rules, and what these rules can be used to do is to improve the process of data entry. So, for example, if you selected a department, you would then be able to, if you wish, restrict the available selections for other fields. So if you had a department, however, only certain employees were actually members of that department, then you could restrict through what's known as dimension relationships so that you would only then be able to enter a certain selection of employees. Now, an interesting dimension is class. So this is the only dimension that doesn't actually come with a predetermined or pre-suggested use. So I like to think of it as sort of a placeholder. This can be completely changed for your own use, for your own purpose that you create, and then you can rename it accordingly. You are actually provided with 7 standard dimensions, many of which can be repurposed. But if you are in need of more, you can go ahead and add extra. This will incur an added cost. However, this is something that I've never actually seen in any use case, as users are able to find that their needs are met through combining the 7 standard dimensions. Once you go ahead and you've filled in the necessary information, so in this case, we'll add an employee and then we'll input a price. We can then go ahead and post the purchase requisition. So what you can see here is a standard record list, and at the top we've got our newly created purchase requisition. We can then click on this button that's called Convert, and then here we are given 2 options. So we've got purchase order and we've got purchase order inventory, and that's because in the background we've configured this purchase transaction definition so that we can then go ahead and create this selection of new transactions based on the previous one. So in this case, we'll select purchase order. And as you can see, it's pulled through all of the data that we've previously entered in the purchase requisition transaction screen. So it's worth noting that you can actually go ahead and amend this purchase order before you go ahead and post it. This is something that can be altered. So in the background, we can change the configuration settings so that we can specifically select which transactions and which stages of a purchasing workflow have the edit button enabled. For now, we can just go ahead and click post since we're happy with all the information. And again, now we're automatically taken through to the list of purchase orders. And now we can go ahead and click convert. However, the difference is now we've got the supplier invoice transaction that we can convert it to. So here you might notice that we've got a little bit more information on the data entries table. So in this case, we've got the tax amounts, and these are all, of course, automatically generated from the tax mapping schedules that are created in the background. Another thing to notice is that we have this specific supplier invoice definition set up so that at this stage we must include a supplier document number. So in this case, we can just type in anything. And again, you can see that if we wanted to, we could go in and alter the different pieces of information. However, let's say we're happy with this, we can go ahead and we can click post. And now we've gone through successfully the entire purchasing workflow, and I believe you'll be able to see there just how easy it was to navigate through the different transaction levels. So next, I want to look at the reporting aspects of Sage and talk to you about the different features available in that section. So to do this, we'll slide back into the top level, and then we'll go into the applications picker, and we'll go into reports and then the report center. So what you can see here is Intacct displaying all of the out-of-the-box reports that are made available to you through using the Quick Start template. Of course, you can still create your own reports through both the financial and custom report writer. A really useful feature of the report center is that if you see a standard report here that pretty much meets all of your requirements, however you feel that it could use a few tweaks, you can actually go into a report using the edit button. You can then duplicate that report, and then you can then go ahead and make alterations to that duplicate. However, you'll already have the basis of the original report pre-configured. So in this case, let's firstly take a look at a profit and loss detail report. So we've got our filters here. In this case, we'll just select the United Kingdom. And of course, we can choose an as of date, and then we'll select OK. And just like that, we're provided with a comprehensive view of our profit and loss. You'll again notice that the different figures and of course the different account groups are hyperlinked in blue. So of course you can then go ahead and drill down into them further. So in this case, I've just selected an account group, and this will actually then provide me with the different information that's pre-configured in the background for that specific account group. Or we can of course go into the figure, get our pop-up window, we can see the specific transaction, or we can go in and see the transaction based on a line detail. Now, let's link this back to the dimensions that we mentioned earlier. So I'll go out of this screen, and then instead of going into the profit and loss detail, we can go into the profit and loss by department. So again, we'll select our location that we want to, happy with the as of date. And just like that, we've been given a view of our profit and loss. However, it is now broken out into our different departments. So there, in a matter of clicks, you're able to gain a serious insight into your finances and really see what's going on under the hood of your company. And lastly, while I've mentioned the ease that you can create these reports, you can in fact go one step further to make things even simpler. And that is the scheduling of reports. So we've got that profit and loss by department report that we were just in, but if you find yourself having to run it on a regular basis, you can simply go into More Actions and we can select Schedule. So here we've got the option to add filters so that we can personalize the output of the report. And then the key area for this is that you can create a schedule based on a start date. If you want, you can have it never ending, or you can specifically put one in. And then you can also select the reoccurrence, whether that be days, weeks, months, or years. And another really useful feature is that you can then select the delivery option. So we could have it stored in Intacct, stored in the cloud, or probably the most commonly used is the delivery via email. So in here, we can go ahead and put in a specific email address, or if you want, you can have multiple within here. You can add a subject line, and then once you go ahead and click save, you will have this report scheduled to be sent out to the specified email addresses based on your reoccurrence that you've set just up here. And that brings an end to this brief overview of Sage Intacct. I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you have any questions or believe that Sage Intacct may be the right solution for you, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much for watching.